Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 22 update video. Today we are looking at Fact Sheet Friday again. It's going to be slightly different today because I've not only got to do yesterday's fact sheet, but from the previous weeks I've missed. Now before we get into this, hit that subscribe button, like the video and comment down below all of your thoughts and opinions on the upcoming game. And now, let's begin. So it is Fact Sheet Friday again. Day of recording, it's actually Saturday, so I'm a little bit late on this one. And I have, of course, got the previous weeks to do. We're going to start with the most recent and work our way back. So we're going to come straight in here with the Fent Vario 700. Very nice looking tractor, one that we've seen in the previous two games. You can see it's got 150 horsepower, a fuel capacity of 400 litres, and 38 litres of DEF. It weighs 8.1 tonnes. The cost price is 162,000 euros, and I believe that will be without any customization. It's got a variable CVT gearbox and has a top speed of 31 miles an hour. Additionally, we've got the Fleegal Asw 271 trailer. Now, I believe this is a trailer that's been in a couple of the previous games. I didn't see it in 19, though, so I'd say it's probably making a return. Now, it's got 29.5 cubic meters of storage. It weighs 7.5 tons and is 52,000 euros. You can see here all of the different materials that it can take in. Lots of different ones here, which is pretty cool. And of course you can see the new rocks and a lot of the new symbols, which we took a look at a while ago. Heading down, we've got a new brand, the Iseki brand. Very nice modern looking tractor. Absolutely love that grill front, looking very, very nice. And this is the TJV 985. It's, I believe this is probably going to be one of the more compact tractors, probably for the orchards. Quite a nice small one. It's got 95 horsepower. Fuel capacity is 120 litres. 3.7 tons in weight. 64,000 euros as the cost price. Got an automatic gearbox and a top speed of 24 miles an hour. And again, it's a very, very nice looking tractor, which will be great to use. And we've also got, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, I don't know how it's said, so sorry about that, but it's the Chopstar 590 and Voguard. This is a weeder. It's 1.3 tons in weight. Got a 9-meter working width. It costs 51,000 euros. It requires a minimum of 80 horsepower to work and has a working speed of 7 miles an hour. Very nice to see that in the game. From the looks of it, it's quite a nice one. Moving down, we've got another new brand and another forklift, which is, again, I'm not going to try and pronounce that because I'm terrible with pronunciation. So this brand with the EFG S50, it's a very nice and slightly unusual looking forklift. It's going to be pretty awesome. So I wonder if we're going to see a lot more of these, because of course we'll have the Manitou from 19 in. Obviously we've got this one, so it'll be interesting to see if we get any others. So it has 57 horsepower. It's an electric one, so it's got 80 kilowatts of charge. 8.1 tons. Costs 55,000 euros. Has a variable CVT gearbox and a top speed of 10 miles an hour. Now, additionally, something which I'm very excited about, which we've had as a mod in the previous games, is the Kroner Profiliner. So we've actually got curtain siders, and I'm assuming this is going to be more for the logistics part of the game, but it's so nice to see, and you can see why the curtains are actually hanging off, which is very nice. So probably going to be quite a cool animation for that. It'd also be interesting to see if you can only bring them back a certain amount, or whether it's either all the way back or completely sealed. But very, very cool to see that. Now, the weight of it is 7.7 tons, and it costs 29,500 euros. And of course, it would be for pallets or any bulk goods like that, so not for any grain, anything. The moving down, this is one that I'm actually very excited to see the use for. So, again, I'm not going to try and pronounce this, so you can see what it is. But it from when I first saw this, I immediately thought of a ski resort on one of those snowplows that goes up and down the slopes. And in a way, it kind of is. But you can see here it's at the biogas plant, dealing with the silage, and it's very cool to see this in the game. It does look like a fantastic vehicle, and it is under the category of levelers, so it's obviously a self-propelled leveler. It's got a nice hefty 435 horsepower to it, 210 litre fuel capacity, 8.6 tons in weight, so definitely going to be good for compacting any grass or chaff for silage. Now it costs 199,500 euros. It has a variable CVT gearbox and a top speed of 12 miles an hour. Again, a very nice looking vehicle. I don't know, there's just something about it that looks really quite cool. And now here we've got one of the newer categories of buildings, and this is the Planet Biogas Plant. So this, I believe, is real company. So we are seeing a lot more real companies for buildings coming into the game now, which is very, very good. Now you can see what it will take here. So it'll actually take manure and slurry as well as the grass and chaff. Now it costs 1.5 million euros, which is quite a hefty amount. But you can see here it actually produces electricity. So that will be for charging your vehicles, the electric ones, and then these two categories here. I can't remember what these two symbols were for, but we'll find out later on. So it's very cool to see there's a bit more functionality to the biogas plants now. So that's the 4 from yesterday. So we're now moving on to last week. We come in here with one of the older vehicles making its way into the game, which is Deutz Harvester. I think I've said that right, sorry if not. So we're coming in with the Topliner 4090 HTS and the header for that vehicle. And again, we are seeing a lot more older vehicles coming in as well as the moderner ones, which is very nice to see. It makes a nice change actually having older equipment than just brand new. So it's got 310 horsepower, a 555 litre fuel tank. Now the grain capacity is 8,500 litres. It's 129,500 euros to buy. It's got a variable CVT gearbox, 12 miles an hour top speed, and it weighs 9.7 tons. Now, as for the header, it's 1.7 tons in weight, a maximum working speed of 6 miles an hour, costs 30,000 euros, and has a working width of 6 meters. So again, very nice to see this coming into the game. You get a good look at the map from this as well, and the crop textures. Moving down, we've got the Zita Proxima Hs, which is got one of the more unusual hood designs, I'd say, but looking quite functional, or I say functional, quite snazzy, quite interesting. Now this has between 76 and 117 horsepower, 190 litre fuel tank. It weighs 4.6 tons. It costs 49,500 euros. And it has both a manual and a power shift gearbox, and has a top speed of 24 miles an hour. And now behind, you can see we're getting some more Kroner grasswork equipment, which is fantastic. Again, we've had the Swadro as mods before. Now we're actually getting them base game. So this is the TS970. It's a windrower. Has a minimum power requirement of 90 horsepower, a working width of 9.7 meters. The cost is €41,000. It weighs 3.3 tons and has a maximum working speed of 9 miles an hour. You can see it being put to work there, swapping up grass. It's quite nice, and I believe it's maybe on the European map, possibly. I don't really know, but you get to see a bit more of that, which is quite nice. Moving down, we've got another Zita, which is this time the Major CL. I believe it's a slightly smaller version of the one we've just seen. Now, it's got 75 horsepower and an 80-litre fuel capacity. It weighs 3.6 tons. It costs €42,500. Has a manual gearbox and a top speed of 19 miles an hour. Then behind, again, one of the older pieces of equipment, I'd say, is the Massey Ferguson MF 1840. This is a baler, so we're actually getting some more balers in the game than what we've previously seen. Was mainly just New Holland. They introduced Kuhn as well last time, and gradually getting more brands for that, which is very nice to see, especially now we've got one of the AGCO brands in. So it requires 50 horsepower to run. You can see here one of the new features. We've got different bale sizes. So this is one of the smaller balers. So 120 centimeter or 1.2 meter bales. Now it costs €22,000. Weighs 1.5 tons and the maximum working speed of 7 miles an hour. Again, very nice to see some of this older equipment coming in and slightly different, and it's nice to see different bale sizes. I think that's something that been after for a while. So this Farming Simulator 22, it's adding so many new features. I know there's some people out there that are a bit skeptical towards this game and say, oh, it's basically the same as 19, but I think graphically, yes, but in a lot of other ways, it's not. And I think what they're doing with this is very, very cool. Very amazing. Now, moving on, we've got the Zita Forterra HSX. Now, this is one of the larger Zitas. So it's 117 to 136 horsepower. It has 270-litre fuel capacity and 28-litre DEF. It's 5.4 tons in weight. Costs €89,500. It's got a manual gearbox and power shift gearbox, and a maximum speed of 24 miles an hour. Now behind, we've got another new brand, Rudolph, producing one of their tipper trailers here. So this is the TDK 301RA. Now it's got between 18.5 and 24.5 cubic meters of volume. €32,000 cost price, and weighs 5.4 tons. And again, you can see all of those different crops that it can transport. So that's last week's done. Now moving back to 10th of September, we've got the Fent Katana 650. So we're getting another quite nice forage harvester. Now it's got a nice large 650 horsepower, 1,225 litre of fuel, weighs 15.7 tons. It costs €395,000. Has a variable CVT gearbox, a top speed of 24 miles an hour. Now we've also got the Kemper 375 Plus as the header for this forage harvester, and that will be available to use on other forage harvesters as well, not just this one. Now, it requires 650 horsepower, as you can see there, which is exactly what this forage harvester has. It's got a 7.5 meter working width. It's €100,000 cost price, weighs 3.3 tons, and has a maximum working speed of 6 miles an hour. You can see here something that's a bit different is the crops that it can take. So normally with these headers, I know in previous games it's basically only been corn that you can feed through this, but now of course we can take some of the cereal crops through it and grass as well, which is quite nice to see, quite interesting as well. Now moving on, another one of the older pieces of equipment is the very fantastic looking John Deere 7810. So it's got 175 horsepower, a 344 litre fuel capacity. It weighs 7.3 tons. It costs €99,500. Has a manual and power shift gearbox and a top speed of 24 miles an hour. You can see just behind it we've got an Amazon planter, the Precia 4500-2C Super. That requires 150 horsepower. It weighs 2.3 tons. Got a top working speed of 9 miles an hour. It costs €49,500. A seed tank capacity, or no, that would be overall tank capacity for both seed and fertilizer, of 1,580 litres, and a working width of 4.5 meters. And you can see here it can plant soybeans, corn, sunflowers, sugar beet, and cotton. Very nice, and something that's not been put in the fact sheet, which you can see on the front of the John Deere, is this weight. Now, this is obviously a different style to what we're used to in the game, so I wonder if we're going to get a larger variety of brands that produce weights, which I hope we do. It would be really nice to see, but it looks fantastic on there. Now, moving on, we've got another biogas plant. This is a 99 kilowatt biogas plant from the same company as before. I didn't actually have a look at the size of the previous one, actually, which is, again, something interesting. So we've got different sizes of biogas plant. Now, this one costs quite a lot less, €435,000. You can see again what it takes and what it produces there. And another new brand, Schafer, I think that's pronounced. That's the 9660 T2. It's classed as telehandler. Obviously, it's kind of a front loader with telescopic boom, so kind of a crossover of the two categories. Now, it has between 177 and 204 horsepower. It has 185 litre fuel capacity. It weighs 12.5 tons. It has 130. It costs €130,000. Has a variable CVT gearbox and a top speed of 18 miles an hour. And we can see on there one of the silage forks with grapple. Can't quite see the brand of that. Looking quite nice. And then coming down, we've got another new brand. We've got Versatile coming to the game, which is very nice. Massive tractor, this, with quite an amazing power rating to it. So between 583 and 665 horsepower. It's got a 1,298 litre fuel capacity. It weighs quite a heavy 19.1 tons. Costs €352,000. It's got a power shift gearbox and has a top speed of 24 miles an hour. And then coming in behind, Vostelmash has been in the game before, but we've never really had their equipment. It's only really been their harvesters. So nice to see one of their cultivators coming in. This is the K12200. Requires a minimum of 375 horsepower, has a working width of 12.2 meters, costs 101,000 euros. It weighs 9.2 tons and a top working speed of 9 miles an hour. Very nice there, and you can see just in the background South Valley Biomass Energy. So that's I'd say this is on the American map. And so another company that would perhaps be delivering it to or selling to. Now coming down, we are at September the 3rd now. Yeah, I have missed a few of these, so I do apologise for that. Now, of course, we've got Class returning. Now, this was only introduced in the last game as the DLC, so it's very nice to see it returning. And then we've got the Axion 870 to 800 here. Now it's got 205 horsepower, a 455 litre fuel tank capacity. It weighs 9.1 tons, costs 185,000 euros, has a variable CVT gearbox, and has a top speed of 31 miles an hour. Now behind that we've got another tipper trailer. Now we've had Cramp, I think it's pronounced. We've had them in the game before, but not this particular half-pipe version of their equipment, so it's nice to see that. I quite like the design of the half-pipe train trailers. I don't know, there's just something about them that looks nice. This is the half-pipe HP20. It's got 12.1 cubic meter of volume, weighs 6 tons, costs 39,500 euros, and has a weight of 16 tons. And you can see all of what it can take down there. It's a lot less than the previous trailers that we've seen, but still very nice to see in the game. Coming down, we've got another new brand, Ferguson. Now we've got an electric telehandler, which is quite interesting to see. This is the first electric telehandler we've got. Now it has 34 horsepower, so not an awful lot, but obviously enough to be able to function well. It's got 32 kilowatts of charge. It weighs 4.8 tons. It costs 99,000 euros. It's a variable CVT gearbox, and has a top speed of 9 miles an hour. And we've also got, for one of the forage mixer wagons, by the same brand, this is the PF 2.24 Plus. This requires 120 horsepower to function. It weighs 8.2 tons. It costs 50,000 euros. Has a volume of 24 cubic meters. And a maximum loaded weight of 11.2 tons. Very nice to see that, and you can see some cattle in the background. And I'd say probably one of the new cow sheds as well. Don't know whether this would be for dairy or beef, or whether they're even going to separate those, which will be interesting to see, because of course you have different sheds for different animal types. So it'll be interesting to see if they start differentiating between dairy stock or I say meat stock, livestock bred for their meat. It would also be interesting to see if they do that with sheep now, because of course you can get sheep's milk, and that's never been in the game before. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. I hope they bring more functionality to the animals. And again, I think I've said this before, I hope they add goats. I just want to see goats in the game. I think that would just be a really cool thing to have. Anyway, moving on, another new brand, and this is one that I am super excited for. McCormick, the Irish tractor brand. absolutely love McCormick vehicles. There's never really been many mods for their vehicles, and we've had the X7 VT drive, which is this particular tractor, as a mod in 19, and I wasn't impressed with it at all. But I think it was more the mod than the actual vehicle. It was not as well made, but really excited to see McCormick in. And it would also be interesting, this almost, I say, confirms my suspicions. I said previously we might be seeing Landini. Now, McCormick and Landini, very, very similar style tractors. I do believe they're kind of partnered in real life. I'm not 100% familiar with all the brands in real life, but um, they're very, very similar pieces of equipment. So it'll be interesting to see if we do see Landini coming in. It would definitely be unusual if we don't, because Landini, the Italian brand, do make a lot of orchard tractors, or the smaller tractors for that vineyard work. So definitely be unusual if we didn't see them. But again, for me, this kind of confirms some of my suspicions. But again, I may be wrong. Anyway, this tractor has 190 horsepower, a fuel tank capacity of 350 litres. It weighs 8.1 tonnes, costs €170,500, a variable CVT gearbox, and a top speed of 31 miles an hour. Now, on the back, we've got the Fleegal PFW 18,000 Max Line Plus. This is the Slurry Tanker. Now, it requires 225 horsepower to work, which is quite interesting considering this tractor has 190 horsepower. But again, this might just be the minimum, or I don't really know. But that does seem unusual that it's attached to the McCormick, but oh well. Now, it weighs 9.5 tons, has a top working speed of 9 miles an hour. It costs €95,000, has a volume of 18 cubic meters, and a working width of 15 meters. Now, moving down, this is something we saw in the gameplay trailer. And this is a stone picker. So this is going to be a new function to the field work. So you are now going to have to go into the field and pick up those larger stones. And it would be interesting to see what the functionality of these stones are afterwards, because there's definitely something you can do with these, whether it's maybe selling them to be produced into gravel, or to go to, for example, a quarry for concrete, or something like that. But it's quite interesting, quite a new feature. We haven't obviously seen a lot of it. We've only really seen this in action, but definitely very interesting. So we'll start with this first. It's the Elho Scorpio 550. Now, it requires 120 horsepower. It weighs 6.8 tons, has a working width of 5.5 meters. It costs €52,000. It's got a volume of 2 cubic meters, so not an awful lot compared to all the other pieces of equipment we've seen. Now, it can carry 3.7 tons within, I say, the hopper, kind of what it is. And it has a top working speed of 9 miles an hour. And you can see the new symbol for rocks or stones there. Again, it would be really interesting to see some more functionality behind this. Anyway, the tractor, we've got the Massey Ferguson MF5S, and I believe this is one of the newer, one of the a lot newer Massey Fergusons. Now, it's got 105 horsepower, a fuel capacity of 200 litres. It weighs 5.4 tons, costs €76,500. It's got a variable CVT gearbox and has a top speed of 24 miles per hour. Very nice, and that is all of them, because we've seen these ones here before already. So this is very nice. It's very nice to see all of this equipment coming in. and a lot of the newer ones. Very excited to see where they're taking us with this. Now, if you wanted to see the full list of equipment, if you go onto their website under games, got all of those brands coming in. There's a lot more on here than there is fact sheets. I'm not going to cover them all today, but if I go into vehicles, for example, see we're getting the Maxim series, all of these class vehicles. We've got all of those front loaders, wheel loaders that we saw in the DLC coming back. There's two telehandlers, just a normal one and the electric version. Now, actually, I'm just going to have a look. So yeah, you can see. So they're both same size. You can see they're both the 6.26. It's just this is a fully electric one, and this is the classic fuel type. So there is a differentiation in the power there. Again, Fent, you can see for them, we've got the 500 coming back, the 300 coming back as well. Iseki, it's only going to be that one by the looks of it. JCB, we've got the fast track coming back. Look, going through. Yep, there we go. The Manitou telehandler making a return. We go the MF5S, one of the older Massey Fergusons coming in as well. There we go, another two of the newer ones. So you get the full list on here. I'll probably go through this at some point, so I'm not gonna do too much. Rigitrack, sorry, from the Alpine expansion DLC, that's returning, but it's interesting. They've only reintroduced the electric version, so I wonder if they've removed the other two, which is a shame because if you the way I see it, if you add something as a DLC, you should return all of it. It's like the same with the Platinum expansion for 17. I was quite disappointed when 19 came and we didn't have that Massey Ferguson 4 series coming back. That was quite disappointing for me. So it's annoying when they do that, but I suppose they've got a limit to what they can achieve. Yeah, you can see going through, we've got all of these vehicles, even more Zitas coming soon. Got all of the harvesters here. You can see the Capello, the Sugarcane Harvester coming back. There we go, the Treon, which we went over quite a while ago. That was before Fact Sheet Friday came back. To its far, Fent. Now, the Ideal is now split, so it's no longer under the Agco brand. It's actually under the separate brand. So if I go to Massey Ferguson, you can see the Ideal here again. Be interesting if they add the Challenger version this time. They didn't add it previous one. Hopefully they do. Again, we've got the Kemper headers, John Deere Harvester, Vostell Mash Harvester coming back, New Holland, lots of New Holland. Ziegler, I think that's pronounced, and loads more. So definitely come check this out. Again, I'll go over the full list in another video and another time, probably a bit closer to the release date, so we've got a lot more to go through. But hopefully you all enjoyed seeing these fantastic fact sheets. Let me know which vehicle that you're most excited about. Leave that in the comments. As usual, check out the description, all of the links in there. Join my Discord, chat with me in there about what you think about the game. Be really interesting to hear all of your comments and opinions on it. Subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time.